from the apocalypse, albinos run the military-industrial complex. P.S. Thank you, Jay Electronica. This is state of the game. This is Dano, and I have not comprised my 8J Electronica tweets to tell you about myself yet. I'm working on it. There's going to be a Hey King, Drake, what do you believe in God? That stuff. Some of those will be in there. It's good stuff.
Peace,
kudos
King.
to J Electronica.
Okay.
Gaming the system. But we have I am here, Dano, Gorham House of Pizza affiliate. So that's where I recorded my first podcast, by the way, was in Gorham House of Pizza's lobby before closing.
G-Hop.
Gotta start somewhere.
Oh,
Start from the bottom, now we're here.
Exactly, man. I think Drake made a song about that at some point.
Yeah. My co-host, who joins me every week, is like if the addictive nature of a pharmaceutical drug was translated into charisma. Pure charisma.
Wow. Need that.
Hey, Diggy. Get your physician's order. You can't just slide in there. It's K Diggy.
Take some of that.
Yep. Your kid's addicted to K Diggy. Oh wow. Anyway, that was a sentence. So thank you, Kay, being here. Yeah. I need to brag about you more. You do great work. And yeah. So thank you for this. We can do this. Do you want to do our stats now, or do you want to do the stats at the end of the episode?
We can do it at the end.
Do it at the end. We have our official state of the game stats, and I'm excited to give metrics here. So, and our guests, we are talking about two people, two forces that came together to form one thing. This has been peanut butter and chocolate type unity here.
Damn right.
One of those collaboration albums that feels like it was always there. It's just strange. We're talking about Sleeping Dogs, Andrew and Jesse the Tree. Thank you for being here. I am so excited.
Thank you, man.
I'm so excited, Kay, that people are starting to catch up to how depressing Andrew really is.
I was gonna say, like, it took a while. Like,
it took a while.
I thought it was always there, but I guess I presented it in such a way that
I knew right away, baby.
Disguised. I know. That's why this happened.
No, it's because me and Zilla would be texting, and I would be like, these people don't understand this, because they would kind of be like, yeah, this is fun, cutesy, melodic commentary on the ennui of life. Done, right?
Yeah.
And me and Zilla would be like, nah, dude, there's pain in this shit. Like, there's sadness in it.
Yeah.
Like, what are they missing?
Mostly.
And today I saw somebody went through the first listen. They were in a Discord that I'm in. And they were like, fuck, Andrew's melodies are so catchy, but the shit he says is so fucked up. And I was like, that's a real
That's
Andrew.
awesome.
That's a real Andrew.
That's how you know, man.
Yes, that's like for real. Like, it would be funny. People, that was like, I feel like people would be like, oh man, I listened to this. Like, they would be hitting on points, and then like that part would never come up. And I'd be like, man, I'm like doing a really good job here. Like, no one's even noticing this shit. It's great.
Right.
Yeah. It's a good metaphor. It's a good metaphor for making it through the day.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh man. And this is, yes, it was like the sadness has been implied in previous projects, I feel like, but it's front and center in this one. This is I'm faking my own rest just to, faking my own death just to get some rest. Long titles kill me. But yes, this just came out today on Andrew's 58th birthday. Shout out to you, Andrew.
58.
Big 5'8", baby.
Looking good. Looking good.
Looking damn good.
On
He's
George
taking some of
Burns
those charisma pills.
Yeah, you know, been working on it.
Yep. Yeah. No, so it's and this project has been really interesting. I've listened to it a lot. Okay. So I'm interested to hear what you thought about this and your takeaways.
It was an interesting project. I think it's because this was live instrumentation, right? I'm guessing. I'm
No.
assuming. No.
It sounds like it,
It
does.
because C Money Burns did like a crazy
Oof.
job with the engineering of it, and he really put
Yeah.
so much effort into making it sound kind of like psychedelic and spacey and melodic. But that was all me and Andrew produced all those beats.
Oh.
No, nothing live. But that would be a cool idea to do something with live. That's a lot of
I
work.
thought it was a live album. I mean, the production is excellent. Because it gave me that energy of like the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, like not grunge energy, but like that rock pop energy. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
definitely.
you just don't hear that nowadays in terms of music, aside from, you know, coming from like Olivia Rodrigo or something, but not like coming from like a masculine vantage point. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Sure.
There's all kinds of
Very
really
good
cool, like really cool redefinition of masculinity moments in this project that are really dope. I don't know why. I usually credit those to Jesse. That's like Jesse has a real good handle on that content, but yeah, the framework of these songs are really wild. Kate, do you have like a craziest Andrew hook that you were like, how is this a thing? This is insane.
The hook.
I'm gonna ask Zilla.
I mean, for me, it was just a vibe. I just went along for the ride. That's what I liked about it. You just put it on, and it was just like a ride the whole way through. I shouldn't use ride, but you know what I mean.
A journey.
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, yeah.
3 Sixers fans in here now too.
It's the way it should be, brother.
Unbelievable.
It's
We're here.
the party got liver.
Yep.
Happy
Zilla
birthday,
Rocca
Andrew.
here.
I got a couple minutes. I want to swing by. Just say what's up.
Thank
And
you.
I'm so glad you're here, Zilla, because I was going to ask you the
Yep.
craziest hook on this project to you. I'm thinking
Pigeon.
Pigeon's
Pigeon's the craziest.
Pigeon is insane.
That's the answer. That's the one right there.
It has
That's
to
a
be.
crazy. That was speaking of like the dark melodic shit.
Yes.
The
It's
brain
like
aneurysm. Yeah.
It reminded
Yeah.
me of
Oh, yes.
it reminded me of the Tom Waits
Yeah.
saying where it's like you always like bad news coming from a pretty mouth. Not saying Andrew's got a pretty mouth, but it's like that idea of something horrific.
There's your next album title, Andrew.
Wow, there it is.
Bad news from a pretty mouth.
Oh no.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's the jam right
But yeah.
Yep. The one for me that is the weirdest, that fucks with me the most, is Tired Trees.
Oh, banger.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Banger.
Because after a while, you're just like, wait, he saw this in a book once years ago, and
Yeah.
that's it. That's what this is. It's just like, I read this.
I read it in a book one time and it stayed. I remember when he sent me that, I was like, man,
Don't you
you're
think so?
the
Do
hook
you like my
master.
don't you think that?
Don't you think that?
Don't you think that?
Yep. No, Andrew's like one of the most inventive hook people in the world right now.
Yeah.
That's a statement right there.
It's true though. It's definitely true.
That's why I gave the guy, emptied out the coffers. I was like, you gotta be on his label, man. Get over here.
Yep. Sign
No,
to the
Get over here.
my job. Now I got a house.
Yeah,
Yep.
for real.
Mansion.
And what's your process when you're writing a hook? Do you have like a specific process? Do you just start with a line and then build out from there, or like how do you come up with your hooks?
I don't think I really have any process per se. I don't like think I don't like I don't know. I think I probably just like I think I use what I write and then kind of just like mess around with the delivery of it and then just kind of like see what works. And the thing is, like, whenever I do like a hook that you guys are like, oh, it's a crazy hook, like I'm never like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and make a crazy hook. Like I never think of that. I'm like, all right, this is what I'm doing, and that just like kind of ends up that way. I'm not like setting out to you know to like do something different. I just kind of like I don't know, it's whatever really kind of like it really depends on like with the beat and everything, because like obviously there's some hooks that, if I translate it to something else or it was somewhere else, it would be completely different. So I feel like it really just like depends on the music and stuff as well. It just kind of, I don't know. I definitely am not. I don't think I overthink it. I think that's key. Like I feel like when I'm forcing it, then you'll feel that. So just kind of like let it happen.
Yeah, like when we were sending each other beats back and forth, like I just sent him one like 2 days ago and he had already come up with a hook. And
Yeah,
it's just
he's
like
quick with that, man. Very fast.
Quick. And I think it's like you said it, like the non-overthinking of it, like because I think that's where so many people get stuck on hooks. It's like, all right, how do I make something catchy? How do I make something that's gonna, and then so many people half-ass hooks too, and that's like I think the power of Andrew's music is like
Totally.
so much thought or non-thought, but like you're just gifted in that sense of like how to pull a song together with a hook.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, it's also like you just said, like you sent me something and then it was like, so he just sent me something and then it like immediately just brought me somewhere and I just like, and it just kind of like came out and that was it. And I was like, oh, this is it. And I wasn't like, all right, what can I do different? Or what else can I do? I was like, no, this is it. Like you gave me this. This is what it evoked in me. This is what it made me feel. And like, this is what it made me do. And I just like put that down immediately and said like, that's it. And that's all.
That's it. And that's all.
No. And maybe Zilla, it's like, is Andrew just less inhibited in his creative process? Like in the sense that when you're creating a hook, sometimes you're like, it can't be too this, it can't be too that, and you box yourself in, and you end up doing a hook that's like, we up, and you end up doing a really simple.
I love that hook, man.
It reminds me of like
we up.
in my dealings, like the last 2 years of my dealings with Andrew, hearing his records on his own or his collaborative pieces or he and I working together, it's like he reminds me of like early Method Man.
Ooh.
Where when Method Man was like the go-to guy for all the Wu-Tang hooks, wasn't doing a ton, but it's like it just everything just hit, from like Cream to I was even thinking of Biggie shit, fuck the world, don't ask me for shit, and everything you get, you got to work hard for it. Like no one was doing that.
No.
And he was just water. Like it was just nonstop. It was like everything he touched was on fire, but it wasn't anything where you're like, oh, no one could do that. No one could ever make a hook like that. You know what I mean? It was like everything made perfect sense. Even like what was the shit on Tikal? Even him like, what's that shit that they be smoking? Tikal,
right.
Pass it over.
And he was melodic too. It is melodic. Like
and so like the pocket was there. So with Andrew, it's like I've never encountered a moment where he's like, song's done, I just don't have a hook. It's always like, oh yeah, here's that. Oh, I came up with this real quick. Do you think this works? Yeah, it works. Oh yeah, I just came up with this part. I had this part. Like it always is like the foundational piece ready. And I love that. Like I love people that go to that place first, because the rhyme writing and the concepts and the bars and the flows, like that's a whole other thing. But if you can get the hook laid down quick and easy and first, like you guys see that the Wu-Tang episode on Hulu with the one from a couple weeks back when they had like Dirty in the studio with Jizza.
Yep.
And Dirty's explaining to Jizza, he's like, yo, you got all this science and all this 5% shit and all this chess pieces. Like, you're so complex. The hook's got to be the most simple, straightforward thing to let everybody in on the party. So that's
Right.
when he started. Remember, he starts. He's like, you know, when the MCs came to live out the name, like all of
Yep.
that, it needs to be that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
No,
The art.
the Method Man comp is really interesting because Method Man was so melodic that in an era where everyone was getting shitted on whenever they were melodic, Method Man never got any of that heat.
Mhm.
Like, he was so melodic they didn't know he was melodic. They were like, Method Man's hardcore. They're like,
Yeah.
no, you're singing along with his hooks, dude. Like, this guy is brilliant. So it was just a different world.
I'll definitely accept that.
Yeah, that's
Definitely
the
accept
Yeah.
that.
Happy fucking birthday.
Yep. Happy birthday. Son. No, the structure of these songs has a big Andrew signature on it, right? There's like that, and before you came on, Zilla, Kay asked if this was live instrumentation, and I think it's because these songs instruments really pop.
yeah,
You know, the piano on Fuzzy Orange Headband, right? Like,
stupid.
Yeah.
you can't run away from it. These instruments get showcased. They feel like they're in the room. So, and that's
Which I think go back to what Jesse was saying was like with C Money, with like how he really brought like a super cohesive feel to the whole record, with like the mixing mastering he did and like all that like work he made it really feel like it was like a live session or something. Like it all felt really, even though it was pulled from lots of different places, he made it feel like it was, you know, he got that air over the whole thing that really made it like vibe together, which was great.
Yeah, because
he the real MVP.
Yeah.
yeah,
sure.
he
100%.
told us, he was like, can I kind of take like a little bit of like creative, liberty with remember when he was saying that, like adding
Yeah.
some of my like thoughts on how it should be mixed, you know what I mean? He's like, I want to give it, because the songs, I want to kind of mix it the way the songs sound almost, and the way that you guys are writing, and that's what he did. And it's like that, I've even listening to it today, like there's still stuff I'm like noticing. Like, he got all our ad libs in there. I was like, damn. So we had some we recorded the whole thing together. Like we were like, it's like, come up to Providence, let's just take 2 days and record it. Yeah, and I was hearing back some of the funny ad libs we did. I was like, how do you panning them all over the place?
Yeah, we did do some, well, because like, and when we did it, we were like, all right, I'd like record my part, and then I do my everything. Then Jesse would go in, and then he would get started before my verse, and then do like ad libs on my verse too. And then like I would go back in and do ad libs on his verse.
That Jim Jones shit, man.
Like, yeah, we did a lot of that.
Yeah,
it was fun.
So there's a lot of like weird ambient like background stuff that like you could pick up that just like
sound effects
hard. Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
we provided the sound effects.
Yo, I didn't even really, the funny thing is, I really didn't know Jesse's shit like that until I heard the demos of this record. And I just heard, like, everyone kept talking about, oh, Jesse's the fucking coolest dude. He's so dope. He's the man. Prem and Castro were tooting your horn. I was like, okay. But I didn't check the shit yet. I wasn't just on it. And then Andrew was like, yo, I just came back from Boston. I did a record with Jesse the Tree. I'm like, oh, that's like, this is the guy now. Like, everyone's fucking with this dude. Like, all of this Jesse season. So he sent me the joints, and I was like, okay, cool. But I didn't have a frame of reference for Jesse yet, because it was like a whole new thing, with Andrew doing a whole new thing as well, right? And Andrew and I, by that point, have been cool for like a year and change. And then when I heard Pigeon Man, and then I did the science and backtrack, I was like, oh, this is what this guy's doing over here. Now I understand, like, them putting their worlds together. And then they went back to the process of doing whatever. So I didn't hear the record again for months and months and months, till maybe like a month and a half ago. And then when I heard it a month and a half ago, I was like, oh, this is even more different than the first time you let me hear this shit in 2022, like whenever the hell that was. And by that point, then I got mad cool with Jesse. We had him on the show, and then we kicked it all the time. And so then I knew Jesse even more. So then when I heard the finished record, I'm like, this is such levels up from the demos from before, and then both of them separately, like on their own path as artists.
Yep.
From all the material I knew and heard, I'm like, this is like, there's so many pieces of both of them in there, but not like it's not like basketball, like ISO, like, okay, your ball, my ball,
Mhm.
you know, you play, okay, you go over there and get 10. It's not like that. It's not like hot potato. It's like but there's pieces of like having a song called Pigeon is fucking hilarious. Like Jesse having a record Pigeon, you know what I mean? Like, and Andrew having, you know, bowl of oranges, fuzzy orange. He had it on the last record, fake orange plastic with a pistol. Like that's, there's like themes that kind of carry through over what they do, but it's not like, okay, this is the Jesse segment of the record, this is the Andrew segment. It really is like the Sleeping Dogs is the beginning of this. The same way to me, like Shrapnel, like the first Shrapnel records, like I knew those dudes so well. When I heard Shrapnel, I'm like, this is not just here's the Castro parts, here's the Prem parts.
Yeah,
It's just linked to do 10 songs. It was like a thing. You know what I mean? I think
that's a great way to put it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Props.
Because that's like, I feel the same when seeing. I'm sorry, man.
No.
You go. No, I'm stoned, so I'm like.
Oh,
No, I was gonna say. I felt the same exact way when I saw. I'd played with Prem since I was like really young when he used to come up here, and then when I first saw him and Castro, and then them playing separately, it's really, I was seeing Shrapnel it's an entirely different experience.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and it's just like it almost seems like separate in like the best way. It's like they've got this other two-headed monster thing going on, and then they're both prolific solo too. And it's, but that's a good point. I think that's how you know it works, is if you create something separately with somebody else and it sounds like its own thing.
Right.
And that's how you know it's working.
Yeah. Me and Kay used to talk about this all the time when we worked in the office together. My whole thing was when two artists work together, somebody gets home court, right? Like
Right.
Drake and Future work on a record together. Turns out Future's got home court. All these are
it's a Future record. Yeah.
You know, all these are Future beats. And so Drake is doing the best he can. He's not, this is, you know, but he's not doing Drake.
Yeah.
He's a Future record, right? Like, so
that shit was just funny.
But like, yeah, he's trying to hit the trap.
It was great.
It was funny. Like, even like best of both worlds. Like, I know we don't fuck with R. Kelly, but them just were R. Kelly records, man. Like,
and when Her Loss came out, everybody was like, "That's 21 Savage." That's 21.
And I fuck with that record hard.
But like usually that's what happened. Is like somebody has to give up their space.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I think we've used this metaphor before. It's like a buddy cop. Like good collaboration albums are like a buddy cop film.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Rush Hour 1 was Jackie Chan going to LA. And then Rush Hour 2, I believe, was Chris Tucker going to China.
Yep.
So, you know, you just want to see how, you know, the two players will interact on each other's home court.
I like
that's a good point, man. That's a really
that
was like the trading beats. And that's like how we started. We both were producing the record. So we were like, we weren't even like, let's do 5 and 5 or whatever. We were just like, let's make a bunch of beats. We had more made too, but we're like, let's make a bunch and pick our favorites. Like we're not gonna like even it out really. We're just gonna go with what sounds best.
It was really funny too. Like, you know, we had started talking and then like and whatnot, and like it was just like an instant click. It was like, all right, yeah, this like makes sense. And naturally we're just talking about music and like, yo, check this out, blah, blah, blah. And then like I remember Jesse had like sent me a couple beats, and then we were just kind of fucking around some shit. And then it just really quickly turned into like, all right, let's just make an album.
Yeah. And it was it was real too, because there's so many times it's like you'll hit somebody up and be like, let's make an album. So like you're, you know, high on coke at 3 a.m. Let's start a business, you know. But like when we said it, it was just true, you know what I mean? Like I was like, yeah, we're gonna make an album. Like
like immediately it was like we had sent like, oh yeah, it's this or like for a song, and then we just quickly were realized like, now like we're just gonna make like a record. And then we did. So
Before we
Kinda
put a
far.
button in the C Money Burns thing, I want to tell one C Money Burns story. I was on the phone with C Money Burns on a completely separate thing, and I was like talking about this album, and I didn't even think about the fact that I was talking to the person who mixed it, mastered. So I'm just talking to him. I'm like, yo, like the first time I heard Fuzzy Orange Headband, like I almost cried. I was overwhelmed emotionally. Like, not because the song is a heart-wrenching song, but because I get that way when you do something perfect. When you nail something artistically perfect, I get emotional. The first time I heard Stone Fruit, I cried like a baby. I'm so happy for them that they had reached that place.
That song is
like,
so
this
good.
song is like that for me. And C Money Burns was like, yeah, well, I'm glad you like those because I did both. I like,
Yeah.
damn,
Motherfucker.
You know, and the funny part of Fuzzy Orange headband was like, I don't know if it was on the original version I had when Andrew sent me like the skeleton version of the record.
Yeah, I think it was, but
It was okay. And then when I peeped it again, I was like, I told Andrew a bunch. I was like, yo, this motherfucker. I was like, I've had that sample since like 2005 or 6, and I would always just play it, and I would try to remix joints with that, like a Nas song or whatever. Yeah. And I was always like, nah, like this is too hot. Like I don't even want to touch this joint. Like it's just too fire.
Wild.
And I just want to like enjoy this song and not rap it, like hip hop it out. I just want to fuck with it. And then when it came on, I was like, I know this shit, man. Come on, man. Yeah, come on, man. You did that. And then when I heard it, I was like, okay, cool. But that was the same reaction I had to some of the joints on The Rain. And then me and even Andrew were like, oh, I know what some of these samples are. And these were joints I was like, I have had on playlists in so many iterations of Mac and iTunes and streaming and phones. And like this dude just pulling them out. And it's like, oh no, I'm going to give it a home. I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Let's do it. Like, and hearing him and Jesse go in on it, I'm like, yeah, there's needed to be two guys on this song. You know what I mean? Like, it makes it more dynamic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that song is beautiful. And so to give my take on the record, Zilla, the structure of this album feels very Andrew, like with the hooks and with the samples, and the meat of it is Jesse. Like, to me, this is the album where I fell in love with Jesse the Tree's writing, right? I repped him, Pigeon Man. I rep Pigeon Man.
Pigeon Man's my shit.
I was repping it, but it was a rudimentary rep. It was very like.
Well, you know, I said to you guys too. It's a very New England rap album. Like, it makes sense. Every time I've been up to New England, a bunch of my life, even just going up with Andrew a few weeks back, that shit hits when you play that record like really hard up there. Right. You know what I mean? And like all Jesse's homies. Everything about that shit is New England as fuck. You know what I mean? The same way me and Andrew's record, not even by design, like is a very South Philly record. Like it can't be anything else. Yep. And with this one is like, it's, to me, it's like throwing Jesse onto like a cruise ship and you don't tell him where the fuck he's going. You know what I mean? And he goes there and he makes friends with everybody. You know, he's got a chick on the side. All of a sudden, he's working part-time at a bar. You're like, damn, this dude is a doctor. He's floating wherever he goes. This guy's set. You know,
grow my hair a little bit. Grow my hair down to my shoulders.
Shells. You get the puka shell.
Yeah, get those sandals with the straps, the Tivas.
Jesus sandals at the pool.
Yep. See.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I know what you're saying though, Dan, and like I just want to say that like before, like when I think even before Pigeon Man dropped, I was just on Twitter saying Jesse the Tree is my favorite rapper, and that was like based on knowing, because like obviously we had been going back and forth. And then like I was saying that and people were like, oh yeah, like this is dope. Or, you know, I was saying that shit when Pigeon Man had dropped and I'm like, yes, Pigeon Man's dope, but like, just wait. Like this stuff, not that the records are better. I'm just saying, I'm like, what I'm talking about, you don't even know yet. Like, we'll see. And like, that's what you're saying. Like you're saying like the meat of it is Jesse, and it is, and like that's why I just like, you know, just hearing him on this stuff, like just listening to it for months, like before anyone else is I'm like, I just want other people to know this shit. Like it's, and that's why I was saying that from like the rip. And now I'm just glad that everyone can actually listen to it.
Oh, I mean, if you
Thanks, man.
that first verse on Fuzzy Orange Headband is breathtaking.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's breathtaking.
That was
But,
that's my favorite. I was about to text Andrew before because we had the hardest time like picking. We're like, all right, what's your favorite? What's your favorite? You know, what's your top two, whatever. And it really hit me today that that's probably my favorite on the record. It's just like very us.
Your verse on that is like
The
my
hook
favorite.
is crazy.
What is my favorite verse on the record is your verse on that song. For
if
sure.
you listen to how much he gets in before the stay in school, like it's really unbelievable. And yeah, I would say I rep Pigeon Man, but it was very much like, look at how competent this fucking is. We got a competent New England rapper. This is fucking great. Like
That's funny.
there's so many New England rappers that are pretending they do shit that doesn't make sense from where they're from.
Yes.
And it's because they like like Rick Ross, so they want to be Rick Ross, but Lewiston doesn't have Rick Ross situation.
We went through this in Philly when Beanie Siegel dropped. Everyone all of a sudden started rapping like that. You take it like that. Tap no more. Tap no. Everyone became a Beanie Siegel guy. Where I'm like, oh my god, stop.
Yep. And there were some New England moments. There was like that. There was that song where like you're describing your history with your parents and them moving from a farm to like where they are to where they're now. And I was like, that's some New England ass shit. Like, and so that was like, ooh, this is interesting. But in this album, Kay, I really started to drill down into these beautiful, picturesque New England poetic like scenes that he can paint. Like there's maybe it's in Whoa, 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 but it's like painting a smiley face in the window of him.
Yeah. That's like easily that like line, that like couple bars is like, I just say it all the time. Like, yeah. Northbound train, drawing smiley faces in the window, and it go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man. Thank you guys.
That one, yeah, like, well, that's what I'm saying. Like every verse on this is super like cinematic, I feel like. And like Jesse is that kind of writer though. He's very like, he paints like such a picture where you really are like kind of, you're seeing it. But like especially on this record is like everything is very like vivid. Like it immediately is like painting in your head.
I do. Yeah, I do have that because I have when I was writing the description, the Bandcamp description. Thank you for allowing me to do that. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, that was the best, man. I was texting these guys. I was like, that shit made me emotional, man. Fucking did. I just imagine you writing it with like like a feather,
right? Quill.
Dip it in the
by a fireplace. You know what I mean?
No, it's
like
it's
drinking mead.
Mead.
It's fun
I was
to be
going to say that. I was
obsessive.
literally about to say this.
But yeah, I emailed myself a bunch of kind of Jesse the Tree bars that were just, and the subject line of the email was New England bars. And we had Mission in the Rain, Weeping Willow, Northbound Train, drawing smiley faces in the window. Yeah, you had Nap on the Couch when the bad thoughts happen.
Yeah, that's some.
Turn
that was the real
yellow bellied like some piss in the snow. Yeah.
Know what the best one though is?
What?
The one I got because I totally forgot about it. I heard it today. I mentioned it. I was trying to remember to text Prem. It was like me and Prem driving through Vermont, spitting obscure ball. Scott Pollard.
Oh man.
And I forgot. I never even told Prem I wrote that line, but that was like a very New England as fuck moment for me because that was like when we were, driving through Vermont countless times, just like listening to like the Sixers podcast and shit, like very hungover and tired, but just driving by like beautiful scenery, and I was just like, yeah, this is a moment right here,
But see, Jesse on this record, And that's why I said like it's like a cruise into a distant land compared to Pigeon. Pigeon Man is like Pigeon Man is to me like first 6 months at a job, where it's like, yo, this is what I'm gonna show you, this is what I'm about. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna be down with everybody, I'm gonna be mad likable, I'm gonna be prompt, I'm gonna be official. This album is like, oh, I've been there like 2 years now. Now I'm like coasting, but in a good way of like, yo, now I can like dance around. I could do different shit. Like on Joe Cool, the way this motherfucker's like going back and forth, it's almost like Isaiah Rashad flows and shit. Like, bend the bed now, bend down, like taking more chances. Where when I heard it again on the final version, I was like, oh damn, like this is so much more variety, and it was like a launching pad for me to think about Jesse in different ways of like, oh shit, this dude can make sense on like a UGK beat if you threw it his way, the same way he can make sense on like a 7L esoteric beat. You know what I mean? Like,
that's cool.
Anything can happen in a really dope way versus like trying to be forced, or like there's nothing sadder when you hear like Midas the Beast talks about it a lot, when you hear people like, I'm gonna do the different flow just because I need to do a different flow on a record, or like I need to show you I'm into this other shit, so I'm not pigeonholed, and then it comes out wild corny. Right. And that was like me hearing it being like, oh damn, Jesse really does fuck with everything. Like just you can hear it. It's right there.
That's cool.
Very effortless.
It's like when your center starts taking threes.
Yeah, man. Like it would be like all of a sudden, like if Samuel Dellenberg started pulling up, you're like, "What? Don't do that, man. Don't do that shit."
Like like a step back three.
Yep.
One goes in too, and you're like, "Oh no, this guy's gonna do this all the time."
This is that used to be the knock on Embiid the last couple of years when teams would just let him shoot that three, and Barkley and all them were like, "Yo, the worst thing to happen to Sixers is Embiid hits those first 2 threes, and then the rest of the game." That he shoots 2 for 10, but he starts off 2 for 2, but he finishes 2 for 10. I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah,
that shit is water.
But like to that point too is like that's a huge thing I learned from Andrew in like the recording process, because this dude was going in like he just pulled like a all-nighter pretty much coming up to Providence to record, and he was so loose like in the studio itself. You know what I mean? Like it was all like he just got in and was like comfortable right off the bat. And he was like just so free. And I was like, damn, like, and I'm usually like not tense, but like when I go to the studio, I'm so like business and like I want that shit to be hard. You know what I mean? And like Andrew was just like how fluid he was, and he was like taking chances, I could tell. And I was like, damn, like let's just do that. Like let's just make this fun and try all different types of shit. But yeah, this dude was like doing the Jadakiss laugh like 30 seconds after I met him. I was like, this dude, he's about to burn it down in there.
No, that makes sense. In basketball terms, Kay, right? You get the person like Andrew is so driven to succeed, driven to grow, right? That he takes up a lot of room, right? And so the defense is on Andrew, and Jesse sees that he's free and is going to make everybody pay. And so he's everywhere on this album because you're thinking about Andrew.
We're killing it with the basketball crossover here.
I mean, how no pun intended. I mean, you come on.
Yeah, I had another one in my head, but I fucking forgot it, man.
The blue and beater, the throwback Iverson. You know what I mean? We got to do it.
Yeah, he came up with that shit, man. The throwback jerseys. I had to get my boy Marcus in there. Yep. He's like, I guess I'll do Bird. Like, I don't want to get too heady off the bat.
That would be awesome. You're like Dennis Johnson and shit. You were just like,
I rocked the Leon Poe or the.
I had the Eric Montross jersey for a second.
That's a fresh jersey too, because it's number 0, right?
Yeah, I had it like I got it from like a store. It was like $20, and I was like, oh, this is. And he played for the Sixers for like half a year, and then we traded him. He was in the
Duke, right? Was he at Duke or UNC?
UNC. Yeah, UNC, he was in the Theo Ratliff Aaron McKee trade. He went to Detroit with Stackhouse.
Oh, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, so we had him for like 40 games.
Got a Stackhouse reference on there. Did you catch all of them, Dano? Did you catch all the ball references or what?
I think I'm still enjoying it. I'm still drinking deeply of the references. There was there yours? I did go on a rant in my house about the JJ Redick.
in my house.
In my house.
Yeah.
Oh man, I know the
About the JJ Redick thing. I was like,
s-
do you see the levels?
this
of
motherfucker's
JJ
blowing
Redick
it.
thing? I was like,
The worst. I
JJ's
hate this
always, he never hits open shots. Like, that was Redick's thing. He likes it better when you're right in
when
his
he's
face.
like falling sideways, 3 dudes in his face, his
Yeah.
when
his
you-
free
you're
elbows about to
in
hit
your
the
face
ground.
like Redick,
Like a
that's
little
how-
bit of like
that's how
hair
he
grease
shot.
on his
That's how he
hand.
played. Yeah.
A little bit of pomade.
Yo, let me tell you. Let me do my JJ Redick rant real quick, right?
Do it. Hit
This
it, hit it.
motherfucker. Let me tell you about this guy, man. So, number one, shouts to him. He had a great career. I enjoyed his time on the Sixers. But this motherfucker, okay, he came to the Sixers originally from the Clippers. He said he had bigger money elsewhere. I think like Houston or something. But we offered him like the most money per year he could have got.
Yep.
Because he wanted to be close to his family in Brooklyn. That's what he said.
Yep.
I'm coming to the Sixers because I want to be closer to my family in Brooklyn. And the Nets were trash at that point, so it didn't make sense for him to go there. He comes here. We make the playoffs a couple times, win 50 games with him, whatever. He and Embiid are boys. And then when he's a free agent again, he immediately goes to New Orleans, right? I'm like, your family is still fucking 90 miles away from Philly, dickhead. So you clearly didn't come to the Sixers to be close to your family. We just gave you the biggest bag in the shortest amount of time to be a free agent again. Okay, fine. So then he goes to the Pelicans. They're supposed to be the shit. Zion gets all fucked up, but they're always on TV because they put those games on because of Zion.
Right.
So I'm watching all these Pelican games because they're on NBA welfare because everyone's got to feel bad for them. Everyone is making sure Brandon Ingram feels good about himself because Zion's hurt, right? And shouts to BI. We should have took him over Ben Simmons. So anyway, Redick goes there. He plays well, I guess. And then like that second year, they trade him and he wanted to go, I think, back to Brooklyn to be with his family. And they're like, yeah, we're just going to trade you to Dallas because you're 38 and you're a reserve. Right. And then he starts airing them out. So he's popping off and he has his little podcast on the side. He's playing footsies with Bill Simmons for a couple of years, like setting up that nest egg when he retires. Okay. But he's like trashing the Pelicans about, well, we had an agreement. They were going to try to do right by me as a veteran guy. I was like, bro, you are the last dude to get any demands about where the fuck you should go. You are not Durant. You are none of these people, right?
Right. He's like, they did me dirty.
Yeah, I was like, who fucking gives a fuck? Whatever. You can't defend. You can't do anything.
You average like 6 points a game, maybe at this point.
He was getting roasted in all the Sixers playoff series once we got past the first round. Roasted. Okay, so now here we are. That's the career rant. Now this motherfucker's on TV and on the pods, literally trying to change the direction of basketball discussion and awards because he's on some
the gall.
I'm a geriatric millennial. I've been banging with all the analytics nerds and polishing them off to get my podcast off the ground. Now I'm going to try to tell you that Jokic, because of a computer, is just the best thing that ever happened in the sport. And if you indicate to me that there's any type of racial bias or type of wink going on with that, I'm going to lambast you and start hitting you with even more advanced stats to make you look silly. He's trying to turn basketball, which was always about culture and impact, into a spreadsheet. So motherfuck him for doing that because he is foul.
Tune into you got to put the link at the end of the podcast because Zilla you can sign up for his newsletter. He'll send you that every morning.
His Substack.
He reads that.
My Substack is $4 a month, and I will just fillet this dude because he is the epitome of like I'm not the biggest talking about everything is white privilege and because if everything's white privilege, nothing's white privilege. But he's the epitome of that shit because he wants to sit there and say to you, no. Because this guy does well on spreadsheet formulas, he's indisputably just the best player, and I don't want to hear another word about it. And I'm like,
he's like, I took accounting 3 at Duke
before he was drunk driving the week before to the draft, and he almost didn't get drafted. And then my man was hitting people with the racial slurs a couple years ago using the Asian hate terms.
The Chinese New Year thing. And
then he also was in an Uber with someone had a body in the trunk, and he didn't do a goddamn thing about it.
Dude, he revealed that on a
He's messy,
podcast.
bro. He's
He
messy.
revealed that on a podcast. Who is he
Right.
talking to?
But because he's handsome and fucking, again, Bill Simmons puts the shield up for this dude, and he was always accessible as a player, and he fucking knows about VORP and Schnorp and C gauge, X plus minus, all this crap.
Yeah.
They all fucking sit on his lap and rub his little hair. I'm like, nah, bro, you got racist tendencies. You don't defend people that are being trafficked into New York in a cab.
I can't believe that
And you're drunk.
I can't believe that shit about the dead body.
He
Like,
revealed
but
that
anyway.
live, dog. He revealed
He
that
did.
live. That shit was
How,
brutal.
like, just to admit, that's like
on the podcast.
that
a
and
mess.
Chandler Parsons being like, what do you say about the dog? Where he's like, I would run over my dog and I wouldn't even be as sad as LeBron about not getting a call. And I was like, what's that analogy? Why would you tell us you're gonna run over your dog and you wouldn't be that sad?
Yo, I gotta jump, but thanks for letting me do that. I love you
No
guys.
problem,
Jesse,
man. That was
happy
awesome.
birthday, man.
That was
Love you,
great.
buddy.
Happy
My man.
birthday.
You know, thanks for having us. Support the record, $3pistol.com. These guys are the coolest. I'm out. Peace.
Ooh.
Peace.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about with Jesse, because yes, the writing, I was really love the writing, but there is very present in the way Jesse maneuvers, especially on this record, an instinctual intelligence that is pretty incredible, right? Kay's probably heard this before. My definition of instinctual intelligence is Captain America, right? Captain America is not a smart person. Nah. The Red Skull fools him constantly. But when you drop Captain America in a room, he's like, okay, two over there, knock out the control panel, right? Like he knows how to maneuver with no advanced input, right? And in that way, Jesse seems to have dropped into the world of Andrew and completely understood it. And just been like, oh, I get this and I get why this is good. And I'm going to start knocking out great hooks and providing great beats that will fit this. And being able to kind of shape yourself and soak in what is great about someone else is an incredible skill, an incredible talent.
Thank you, man. That's yeah, like, and I think the answer behind it is really just like Andrew and I's like approach to the whole process, like before we even making the song. You know what I mean? We're both, like patient, but and also like driven in different ways too. Like Andrew could get me off my ass to, write something. He'll be like, hey, check this out. You know what I mean? I'll be like, damn, this dude's working. Like, oh shit. My fault.
Okay.
Did you hear that too?
Yeah.
All right. That was my phone was going on. My fault. But like just the way he approached the process of it, and that's the hardest part, is putting this all together, like the direction, like the ordering the tracks, like what are we gonna do here? You're going high, go low. Like he had such a relaxed but defined approach to it. And it was like just so easy and fun for me to work in that. You know what I mean? It was like pressureless, but also like we were motivated the whole time with it too.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. No, Kay, how did you feel about the whole deal, man?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It took me a couple songs to get into it and warm up to it, because it's not what I typically listen to. But I think by like getting the track list out, I think by like Fuzzy Orange Headband, which was the number 3 track, that's when I started to really get into it. And then I think the run from Tired Trees to what is it? Tired Trees. It goes Tired Trees, Navy Blues.
Yep.
Mouthpiece, which I really love. Mouthpiece was probably my favorite track.
That's the second
right all the way to the end.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, that's cool, like that you shape it out that way, because I think that's kind of what we were going for, setting it up like 2 different kinds of ways, like come in with this kind of energy and then go out
Yeah.
kind of with like get a little more melancholy as we go. And the last track felt like a really goodbye
Yeah.
track on the album. And it was one we wrote very early on in creating that, and didn't know where it would go. And then it just clicked. That's perfect to just end on that note.
So what were the origins of this project? How did it come to be?
So I had just heard Andrew's album. I forgot who had shared it, that, somebody in our mutual circle. And I was like, let me check this out. And I was like, damn, like this is like, it spoke to me because I could kind of hear Andrew's influences off the bat. And I'm like a huge Elliott Smith fan too, like Andrew is. And just that kind of like broody 90s, early 2000s kind of like, I don't know how you would define his music, but like gloomy and beautiful. And then I was hearing his hooks and I was like, damn, like I haven't heard anything like this. And he could rap. And I was like, this is just cool. Like I found myself listening to it over and over, to the point where I went on Twitter and I was like, I gotta just tell this dude, like I really dig this in a way that like I feel like, like like creatively and musically, I was just like, I really like what you're doing. And I feel like we could make something cool together. Let's make one song, and that was the start of it. And then never really stopped from there.
What year was this? How long ago? How long ago was that?
Not like, let's see.
A year and a half? I'm so bad with time, man. It could be 3 years. It could be 6 months.
No, so it's funny. So I put out The Rain last February, so like a year and a month ago, and Jesse had reached out to me not that long after after I put out The Rain. So like we started talking maybe a year ago or so, and then this album is already out a year later.
Wow.
So it's happened pretty quick. So as Jesse said, he had hit me up and was just like telling me that he liked the record, which was awesome. Like I had just put that out with Zilla, and I was, I didn't know how it was going to be received really at all. I was just kind of like doing what I felt like doing. And so when Jesse hit me up, I thought that was dope. And then I had known who he was because of our mutual friend Esh. Esh, I was up in Boston hanging out with him, and he was like talking about this record he was working on. He's like, yeah, my boy Jesse the Tree. He's like, he showed me the song. I was like, damn, this is sick. So at that point, I already knew who he was, but I never had I interacted with him. And then he hit me up, and I was like, oh shit, yeah. Like I remember Esh told me about, and then we kind of just started talking from there. And then Jesse had said like, yeah, we should, we could. I think I guess I like specifically remember early on he was like, yeah, I think we could make something really cool together. And I was like, oh, word, that's dope. And then that's when he was like, oh, I'll send you some stuff. And then we kind of talked that first time, and then just it was just like a conversation that never really ended. Yep. I'll talk to you, and then in a couple months, we just continued to converse. Still to this day, I talk to this dude a couple times a week at least. So it was funny though, he said that, and then we exchanged stuff quickly, and then immediately we were just like, oh yeah, we should just make a record. And then
it was very quick.
Kind of just started, because I feel like when you talk to someone and you just feel immediately comfortable, I know this person, we just got along really well from the rip, and just kind of knew this is someone that I want to continue to have a relationship with. I know I can work with this person. Even if we didn't know, it's a person I would still talk to all the time, just because. And that's what made making the record really easy.
Yeah. No, you have to.
It was the friendship was building, early on too. So that's why it processed through that album too.
You have to in your life, you have to take advantage of relationships where it's really easy to be productive together. right? Like
Mhm.
if you run into someone and it's just really easy to not to do anything with them, you gotta just do it. Like
Yeah.
that's how this podcast came. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah. Mhm.
that's how this was with Kay. It's just like it's just easy. Like so let's just do it and just keep doing it. And you
Yeah.
just have to take advantage of those situations when you find them. Yeah.
100%. I think that's definitely was the case there. It was like, all right, like I really like this dude. We get along. Like he's super talented. Like, and I do think that we could could do that. And it was like, regardless, like I like this dude and I want to just like make music with him. And then, but I think as soon as we actually made music, like, it's like, oh, here I sent him the beat and then heard him on something of mine, vice versa. It was like, oh man, like we definitely can like marry these two things we're doing to make something. Like he sounds so natural on the stuff I was sending him,
Yep.
which was just really cool. Like because like I don't even, obviously I did the record with Zilla, but it's not like I'm sending out beat packs to people and stuff. So, I don't hear that many people on stuff I make. So I feel like Jesse just sounded really like just like fit right in there, like he was supposed to be there.
Yeah, there was definitely like a point where we were like, let's make the music, let's see how it sounds, and then there was another step where we were like, oh shit, like this is gonna work, like, and then we started getting like really rallying around that feeling, like, no, I think if we keep doing this and we actually like super commit to it, we can make something lasting,
Yeah. It was funny though, because like at the same time as like Jesse said, like we stayed motivated the whole time, but just because we were motivated by each other, like working. But like at the same time, there was never like, oh man, we got to make another song, or we got to do this, or like it all was just super like. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But the wind's like knocking shit over outside of my house. I'm like, what the
Yeah,
fuck
dude.
was
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
Wind's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, no. So like we stayed motivated the whole time because like Jesse said, like either he would send me some like a verse he wrote and I was like, fuck, like as you can see, every verse on this of his is like ridiculous. So every time he sent me a verse, I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like I'm like, let me get back to it, or like or it'd be like, I just like want to like flip some shit. So like every time he would send me something, I was like just super psyched in it. Jesse's the kind of person every time he would send me something, like every time I hear a Jesse thing, like it makes me want to like create music. There's like certain artists I listen to and I immediately just want to drop what I'm doing and just like I'm just starting to write, or I'm like I want to like get on the computer and start making some shit. And like our relationship was like that. So it was just like it was just built off each other. As soon as he would send me something, I'm just like working on the next thing, or vice versa. Like we're just constantly like, yo, check this out. Yo, check this out. And just like building off like the momentum of just being hyped on what each other was doing. And that's how the record like made itself, really, is all how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you guys both produced this, and I'm just interested to hear Jesse's perspective on the production, because Andrew has a thing where like I feel like there's a lot of pressure to take the fun out of a sample.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's fast and fun, slow it down, chop it up, mince it so no one knows. And Andrew leaves the fun in the sample.
Yes, that's a good point, man.
Still makes it like a really interesting, unique production, but it's like I production wise, and these Andrew comps today have been pretty incredible. So we got Method Man. I'm going to throw MF Doom on the table. In terms of the production, right? MF Doom was somebody fearlessly leaving the fun in the sample, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And he was like, people were like, "What? You can't do this!" Like he was like, "I just did, haha!" And like, there's a sense of that.
100%.
That's crazy, because that's like exactly how I felt about it too. Because our beats were, and I it's another thing I learned a lot from him too, was like his were the beats felt like the hooks from him, where I was like, okay, shit. I was like, that's crazy. How did you even think to do that. Like, what place in your brain did you go to? Like on Fuzzy Orange Headband, he sent me that. I was like, I couldn't even think to pull that sample and loop that, like with the ha in it.
Yep.
And I was like, you don't want to put drums on it? Are you sure? No drums? Like, leave it. And I was like, ended up being really my favorite beat. But because I'm typically when I produce stuff, it's kind of in that, let me slow this way down, let me get some drums. But Andrew's, like, a lot of the beats he'll tell are like the crazy loops, like I wouldn't think to take that part from that song, but I'm glad you did, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Dog 2022. So yeah, no, it's really great, and Andrew's growth is so insane. Like when the Rain came out, I didn't listen to Pop 1967 for a while. Like, and you know, that the album with Zilla comes out, and I'm realizing, I'm like, man, when's the last time I listened to Weight in the World? Like, it's just that there's leaps and bounds in terms of the next project.
Yeah,
the growth that you're on, and it definitely feels a little bit like classic Russell Westbrook, you know, classic Russell Westbrook All-Star Game energy, where everyone else is just having a fun time, and he's like killing people. Like, man, we're just having a fun exhibition game. He's like, oh, we know
triple double in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I love that.
The most Andrew moment on this album to me, Kay, is when Andrew, in an exhausted tone, says, 5 jobs isn't enough. Guess I need 6.
He's got the gems he has, man. Like, there's so many lines that stay, and it's the same. It's with like everything. The hooks in the verses, he'll say some shit. There's one I was playing back like 10 times today. I was like, it's so simple, but it's like I would never think to write that.
Well, the most vulnerable moment is when he does when he raps about the fast flow and kind of does the fast flow and then backs away from that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's a thriller. I like that one.
You never know where it's gonna go in that part. You're like, hold on, what's about to happen?
Is he gonna go full twister? Is he gonna do it?
Right? Yeah. Keeping you on your toes in a whole different way, like a very meta way to keep people on their toes.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a testament to his writing, and it's like that made me want to have fun writing too the whole time, because I was like, this dude's saying some wild shit. You know what I mean? Like on Fuzzy Orange Headband, he's like, right after I end, he's like, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's another way for me to say that you a whole bitch. And I was like, what?
Yep.
That's perfect.
Yep.
Yo.
I was like, that only few people could say that, and I'd be like, that's dope. You know what I mean? I was like, that's perfect.
And that's what I was I was thinking about all the outcomes of this album, and I was like, you know what? If there's a couple of reasons where if you go up to me and you're like, I hate Andrew because of X, I'll be like, I get it, makes sense. Have a good day, right? Like, no fighting. If you're just like, look, I hate Andrew because these dad jokes are too cheesy, I'm like, you know what? Good luck to you. Have a great time.
You missed the point.
Find somebody else, like, because these jokes are coming. And
you're the sad one.
Right. But no, there's the tenants. This world has tenants, foundations to it, and you got to be in or you're not. You know, but
absolutely,
yeah. And there's a lot of this album is really interesting conceptually, leaning on the sense of overwork, working until you're just dead tired. And then kind of segueing that into just death and talking about death. There's a lot of all of that. And it's really wistful and interesting. And the reason this doesn't feel like a one-off project to me, Kay, is because these guys managed to create a new fucking sound. They each had individual sounds. And they came together and made a fucking new one.
How would you describe the new sound?
You know what I mean?
Cool.
What are you saying?
How would you describe the new sound that's been created?
And I said
tubular.
but I don't know. Dan, thoughts? I don't know. No, I
Yeah,
don't even
no.
know what I'm doing. I just
So it's definitely soulful, right? There's still the soulful stuff, which is, but Andrew's soulfulness was very funky before. There was a lot of funk to it. This is soulful, like the doo-wop that used to get played at like dances at times back in, because a lot of people in New England, a lot of people in New England were raised on the oldie station, right? 100.9, right? So we had weird oldie shit that used to play at our dances. Like we had weird old doo-wop songs that people would be slow dancing to. Like there's some of that. There's some of that flavor. That's why the people I talk to that are smart music people are like, whoa, whoa, whoa is a perfect way to end this album. Because it nails.
That's cool. I definitely feel that, like that old doo-wop shit. And I think, well, a lot of the process too of writing to it and coming up with the sound we were sharing, like we have a lot of like outside of hip hop musical influences that are very common. So I think there's a lot of that, like Elliott Smith adjacent stuff and like, you know, like Songs Ohio, that like real like heavy Towns Van Zandt, you know, like we have a lot of those like kind of old like country weird sad shit music in common, you know, and then adding a little bit of like more melodic to that gives it that like old Sam Cooke, like you send me, you know what I mean, like shit like that. That's like, but that's great. I love that sound. So but it's very hard to put that into hip hop. So I think that was like it just kind of naturally happened.
So, do you want to hear my pitch on the next Sleeping Dogs album?
Oh, let's hear it, man.
Yeah.
All right. I'm an idea man. Generate lots of ideas. The next Sleeping Dogs album, there's no rap features. None. The only features are like are singers, like Fielded and shit, you know? Tayana.
That's a
you know what I mean?
sick idea. That's a really sick
like
idea.
Even in my head, I was like, man, if you actually got a core group of really dope singers, you could go old school and have background singers.
Me and Jesse are both really dope singers. I don't know what you're talking about, Dan.
No, it's true. No, you're right. You're right.
If you could get somebody who could actually sing on this
thing,
I
want super choruses, like supercharged, like great.
I think we will be doing that.
I would love to just like, that's like my favorite thing is like I'm very big on like layers. We do a lot of layers on everything. So like, especially with singing, like if there's just like a couple, I mean, usually I'm by myself. So, you know, I don't have like, when I'm in a room with other people and like, I can get other people like to like, you know, put a layer on like, just like layer up hooks, like it's the best thing ever. God, but like, you're right. And if I could get people that could like, not me, that could actually sing, like it could be fucking something. Like the prime example of that is of my vision of this is like, did you listen to sad dance songs? Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
The song 1112.
Mm-hmm.
And like that my friend Glitter Vomit, she sings on like the hook with me, like layers it as well. And I'm like, this is like the best. Like I just need someone that can sing on everything and I'll be all right.
Yeah, and there's people, that's why I thought of Fielded and Kayana, because they're so good at just being in the levels of like in the mix.
Yeah, it's a whole skill.
I talked to Fielded about it when I interviewed her, and I was like, you're on tracks like a ghost. You're like haunting the track behind Billy Woods. It's awesome. You know,
it's like the dopest shit though.
Yeah, that is the cool. And like that, I love the gloomy shit. Yeah.
I really love layers, like not even knowing someone's there, but it's like you feel the power, but you don't know where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking at that time, like there was a time in like the 60s and 70s where all the rock people had grown up loving Ray Charles, and so they all got backup singers. And so there's like Allman Brothers albums with backup singers all over the place, and you're like, this is fucking crazy.
And then think like Crosby, Stills, and Nash, like the crazy harmonies they were doing, like literally making an instrument out of like 3 different tones of singing.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's the next level of Sleeping Dog, because then you're in
We're
an
gonna
area.
do some Crosby, Stills, and Nash shit. Yeah,
because then you're in an area no one's fucking in. No one's fucking matching that. You're like, who are you comparing us to now? Who are you gonna compare me to now?
Yeah.
Yep.
They're like, this reminds me of Sweet Judy Blue Eyes.
Yep.
Off a 4-way street.
No, this it's not, there's not the dudes, they're not doing that, but shout out to the dudes. Love them.
Always.
Yep. But so Kay, do you feel like there's more ground here, or are you happy with this?
Yeah, and that kind of ties into the question I wanted to ask you guys. Like, what do you guys think that you've learned from each other that you will apply? Because I know I feel like you guys are going to do another album together, but I'm sure you're going to be doing individual works as well. So from this experience working together, what have you learned that you think you're going to take away on your individual path?
Andrew, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
That's a hard question.
It's a good one.
It is a really good question. And like, I feel like I've learned like infinite things from Jesse, really, honestly. Especially just like watching him as a writer. He's very like, has influenced me greatly. I feel like inspired me, and really to how I approach writing. Like I said, like everything to me that he writes is like very, very like cinematic, and like it's like very, very like it paints a picture for you, and he does it in a way where it can even be very simplistic, but it can paint like a super detailed picture for you. So I feel like with writing, I really am like, even with this record, like just starting to work with him on that, like I really was like, damn, like it kind of made me think more about and like try to approach things differently, and like different pockets, and like just the way he delivers certain things. It's really cool. So I think like as a writer, I've just like greatly improved, like 100% just working with him on this record. Just being able to like work so closely and just like back and forth, and just like kind of see how he does things. It's been like definitely super. I think I've improved as a writer greatly, honestly.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that's. I mean, what were
Before
you
you give your answer, Jesse, I want to give you a rant compliment following that. I just think that because I was describing your writing as literary in my head, and then I was like, what the fuck do I mean by that? People say this too much. What do I mean? Right? What I meant was that as a short story writer, which is where I started, I was trying to write potent images that would grab the reader, but I was also trying to develop the character. And so these potent images would develop the character, and you do that. Somehow you get the attention, but also it develops the character in subtle ways that pay off later.
That's cool, man. I love that. Thank you both. Like that's, and I love that comes from just like a love of writing too, and love of poetry, and just like stories in general. You know what I mean? If it's like a story, I love reading stories, whether it's something about on the Athletic, about how some basketball player, like just the power of like good writing that's like thoughtful and meaningful is like, it's the coolest shit in the world. Even in like TV shows, like the script is so well written, the dialogue is so on point. And for me, the biggest thing I learned from Andrew, like musically, is like going back to melodic sounds. Like I think a big part of me, like in doing hip hop shit, I'm like, whatever. This song doesn't need that. This song doesn't need me to do any type of like pitch, like changing anything on the chorus. And I'm like, that's it's fun. It sounds cool, adds depth to the record. And I feel like I was like almost half scared of adding that to my songs. It was like any kind of melodic stuff, but I feel like broken free of that in working with Andrew and seeing how well he does that and what it brings to a song, like how much fuller and more engaging it sounds. And then just like we were talking about earlier, like hooks, like I was like getting to that point, it's hard to get out of, where I'm like, I'm just gonna write songs with no hooks. You know what I mean? Fuck it. This doesn't need a hook. Who cares? I'm just gonna write 64 bars and that's the song. You know, hooks are overrated. And then I never believed that. I was just like, I'm scared of the hook in some way. Like, I don't know what to say here. Like, is it going to be corny? And then, so just, I study Andrew's hook writing, like, anybody should be doing right now, honestly, and just be like he nailed it. He knows how to do it. So that's like, it feels like a gift for me to see that so closely, so I take a lot of notes on his hooks and just like the not overthinking shit with writing,
Yeah, for some people, what is intimidating is an opportunity. It's freedom.
Yeah.
And Andrew finds freedom in making this music in a way that's just infectious. It's just really cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah, thank you guys.
It's good. Do you want to
the nice things to say?
Do you have more, or should we go to recommendations?
No, I'm all set.
Thank you for this. So good to be able to talk to you on release day. Excited for everybody to enjoy it. We're going to recommendation corner to honor the soulfulness of this album. I'm going to do no rap music recommendations, all soul music. Yeah, it's going to be nice. So, the first one is a classic that I'm going back to, one of my favorite Daptone releases ever. It's called "If This World Were Mine" by Bob and Gene.
Oh yeah, that record's so good.
Yeah,
I was listening to that this week.
I can't.
Damn, can you say that again? Hold on, let me write that down.
Yeah,
it's called "If This World Were Mine," and it's by Bob and Gene. Bob and Gene were two like teenagers from Buffalo in like the 60s.
Sick.
Yeah, two teenage friends, 1967. And they were like managed by one of the kids' dads, and they tried to get big in Buffalo, and they kind of almost did, but didn't. And this fucking album's perfect.
And
I'm excited,
it's funny because like I always remember that because I just like love like Bob and Gene. It's just such like a good to me. I'm like, oh, I love it. I just love like the Bob and Gene. That shit is funny to me, and like it just sticks.
That's a sick name.
Yeah, like Bob and Gene. I'm like, I love it. So
yeah,
I always think about that record because Bob and Gene.
I Can Be Cool, Sailboat. It's just really dope. All that shit is really dope. That's one of the other one that I've been rocking with. Little Brown Eyed Soul by Sonny and the Sunliners. This album is from 2018. And I was telling my wife, it has a great version of "I Only Have Eyes for You." And I was telling my wife, I kind of love every version of that song. Like,
oh yeah,
it's hard to do a bad version of "I Only Have Eyes for You." But there's some. It's just such a cool record and such a fun listen. "I'll Be There," another cover of "I'll Be There." It's pretty. Yeah. No, Sonny and the Sunliners are dope. They're known for that Vol.2 album, but that one I haven't dug into yet. It's on my wish list for my birthday coming up. So, I'm about to write about an album that it's going to be fun. It's not an album, it's a project. 5 songs from a singer from Belgium called Aja. And I was really excited listening to the project is called Iron Eye. One
Ooh,
word,
that's a sick name.
Iron Eye, and it came out February 24th. And I'm really excited to start writing about it. And I was like, you know what? The cool thing about this is it would be cool to get paid by like a major thing to do this, but no one would let me write about this shit.
Yeah.
No one would let me write about Iron Eye. Like no one's
Yeah,
like, dude, what are you talking about?
like you're in too deep.
Yeah. I'd be sitting there, I'd be writing more, Drake content, man. I'd be pumping out, really basic ass, like, saying things about Mac Hami that everybody else says, it's just like, oh, it sucks.
Makami is great though.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
He's great.
Yeah, he's wonderful. But like but this is a really interesting album, and what I'm going to write about specifically, EP, debut EP. It has my favorite interlude of the year.
Ooh, never forget the power of a good interlude.
Oh my god!
I love.
We got to get one on the next. We got to get one on the next Sleeping Dogs.
Iron Eye, track 3. It's called Default Mode Interlude.
I already have it. I already have it up and saved to listen first thing in the morning.
1 minute 23 seconds. It's amazing. By the way, in terms of interludes, I am now sending my shit talking spoken word stuff around to people that I respect. And there's
well, yeah.
So it's cool.
We can buy one of those from you.
You don't have to pay. I just give it away.
We need that. We need the Dano interlude.
If you've never heard that, there's one out already. It's by Mantis the Miasma.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I did the shit talking thing on that. That was fun. That was the early stages. I've refined it now. It's a lot of fun. But I can send some options if you're shit. I'm just sending them to people.
I need a whole pack.
Yeah, I like your stuff. Here's some stuff.
Just need to make an album and then just like pepper in like the Dano quotes throughout.
Oh yeah. Or just put them all together on like a really lush beat.
That'd be fine.
7-minute beat.
So fucking weird. Like I do this music thing and I love doing this music thing, but I'm also a creative writer myself, and I was before this. So both things are happening at the same time. So, but yeah, I will definitely send a pack. I have no problem with that. So yeah, but it's
put some air horns over it.
Getting that Dano pack.
Yeah. I wrote a bunch of stuff. I was on the plane to California to go to a bar mitzvah, and I had slept on the bus from Maine to Boston, and my family was up that time and slept on the plane. So I was alone on the laptop just writing, and it was dope. It was really cool. So I got a lot done. Anyway, hey, give me some recommendations. What do you got?
Me, so I listened to the new Masego.
Oh, I love Masego. I love
Masego. Okay, I'm glad I pronounced it.
I always forget.
So
his
self-titled. This is his second album, so it's his self-titled album, Masego. I listened to that today.
Oh, such a good album.
Really enjoyed it.
Yo, Kay, we had a whole thing about that album, dude. Like me and my wife. So I put it on in the car, right? And it was, my wife has really interesting reactions to things, but this time she was very quiet, right? And then she just said, "Play that again."
Yes.
And it was Why You Want to Try. It was Why You Want to Try. I think it's track 2 or 3. And the rhythm of it, the melody of it, she was like, that's
the best reaction, man.
It's like, I know this song. This is from something. And it's basically a melodic flip of Tom's Diner by Suzanne Vega.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a great song too.
Dude, you got to listen to both of them. Listen to Tom's Diner and then that Masego Why You Want to Try song.
That's a certified banger though.
Both of them are dope. Like,
oh yeah,
that Masego is going to come back in our discussion. I love that. Thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, let's do our stats now, and then you two can give recommendations.
Okay, yeah, let's hear them.
Statistics, state of the game statistics. So, for everyone, the first episode of State of the Game was April 8th, 2020.
Damn. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
It's 2023. It sounds like not that long ago, but that's a long time ago.
Yep. And we are recording episode 150.
150.
Yes.
So
A round number.
if you pull out your calculators, right? 52 weeks in a year, right? We do this weekly. We've done it for 3 years, right? That's 156, right? That we could have done if we didn't miss any, right?
Yeah.
It is 150 now, but we're only in mid-March.
Oh. So you technically could get
We
there,
got 3
right?
more that are probably going to be down the pike before that
Wow.
April 8th date. So
Wow.
we have missed 3 episodes
That's wild.
in 3
That
years.
is.
That's some Cal Ripken shit there, man.
That's like that's pure dedication though, and like it goes, you know what I mean? Like
153 out of
it shows though
156.
you're dedicated to this shit, and like
Yeah.
you take this music stuff seriously, and everyone knows it, and everyone
Oh,
respects
everybody.
it. It's like
Yep.
you know, you guys
That's-
aren't half-assed with this. It's like, oh, is there a new free music empire? I haven't seen one lately. It's like, no, you guys are on it, and you're always on everything that's happening. So that's why people look to you for this shit.
Yeah. I
Oh,
didn't
absolutely,
realize
man.
we did so many shows. I thought we were like low 100.
Kay's like, damn, I didn't realize it.
That man fucked me up. Okay,
I
whatever.
thought this was like our 10th show.
Yeah, I knew we were in the hundreds. I thought we were like 110, maybe 115.
150. Dog. Like this is
150.
like there are podcasts
Shooting
that have
90
been
from
around
the
for
line.
years that are at 150. You know what I mean? They've been around for
Yeah.
years. What we do it every goddamn week.
Wow.
That's sick, man. That's like Chris Paul free throw numbers.
Nuts. But that is a level of dedication that is a mental illness. So I am proud of them.
Goes one way or the other, man. It's either 150 or 28.
Right. Yeah. So Jesse, give me what are you bumping? What are you enjoying?
All right, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna do an album that like when Andrew and I were talking about like making this album that I was very into. And that would be, I don't want to do the obvious one. Fucking, it's called The Meadowlands. Where is it?
Ooh.
And pull on The Meadowlands by the Wrens.
Oh yeah.
It's a 90s. Yeah, The Meadowlands by the Wrens. Oh, 2003. It feels like it came out a long time before that.
Well, that was 20
and it's
years
just
ago.
that was 20 years ago. It's some cool, broody, like New Jersey indie, sad, cool shit. Like the little like My Bloody Valentine meets like Pavement, kind of weird type of deal. But that's the one I'm gonna go for.
Yeah, let's look
I
at
think
these
you
song
dig it.
titles. These songs. This boy is exhausted, hopeless. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's some cool sad shit, man. It's a
not
good
what you
like
had
rainy,
planned. That's awesome.
rainy March New England weather type of album. Probably made in like Idaho or some shit.
Man, probably.
Yeah. So some of the stuff I've been listening to lately was me and Zilla. Zilla put me onto this one joint by this singer Big Pig.
Big Pig is sick. My girl's
the EP Bubblegum. Like I've been listening to that like a lot lately. It's really cool. It's just like pop, but it's really dope. Super like just kind of draws me in. I've been bumping that like a bunch. Zilla got me onto that one.
Mhm.
And I feel like I've been in like down like a Pedro the Lion rabbit hole a lot lately because they're touring to Control and Hard to Find a Friend, like respectively like 23 and 25 year like anniversary. And so I'm like gonna go see him in April. So I feel like I've been on that a lot.
Nope.
Yeah. And then I feel like I've been on this like Waxahachie and Jess Williamson collab record Planes. I've been listening to that a lot. It's like fucking super good. I'm kind of all over the place right now, I guess. But as far as non-hip hop, I've been listening to those couple things a bunch.
Waxahachie got bars.
Yeah,
songs
seriously.
well written.
Yeah, serious
Yeah.
bars.
Yeah,
That's it's like a weather. I feel like the music, like the shit you're into, is so indicated by the weather too. Because that's like I'm in a same kind of line of the. I've been very into like the slow core, like slow dive, like My Bloody Valentine, like broody, droney, shoegazy shit, like heavy droney music. I like that shit.
Oh man. So Kay, I've been reading Fat Joe's book, and so I decided to listen to his album All or Nothing. It came out in 05. And the production is terrible. It's that 05, 06, like a terrible bad snack food, like guilty pleasure music. But there is, I would say, so you don't have to listen to the album if you don't want to. I mean, this is not my recommendation, but the Lean Back remix, I will say that Eminem verse is exactly the verse that people make TikTok videos making fun of. It is exactly to the letter that vibe. If you think that video is funny, listen to the Lean Back remix. It's
I gotta do it.
I can't wait to listen to that. I want that Eminem verse so bad.
So fucking funny to me.
Like,
oh my god, that was the album with Get It Poppin' with Nelly.
There's nothing better than a cringy Eminem verse.
Get it poppin'. Yeah, it's a weird. That remix is weird. I think Lil Jon is next to Eminem.
Yeah, Lil Jon was. Yeah, I remember it.
It's
so
strange.
I must have blocked this out of my memory.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's
that was like, I'm not convinced that actually happened.
Yeah. I had the blinders on.
That's gonna be the cosmic joke, like in the afterlife.
Shout out to Fat Joe.
That song never existed.
I feel like Fat Joe made a ton of money on albums that people don't remember even happening. Like,
yeah.
Shout out Fat Joe.
Just like, I don't even remember that album. I made millions off that album. You know, like
that sounds awesome.
He's a businessman.
That's pretty fucking good.
But yeah, thank you everybody. Join up on the Patreon. I'm going to start doing shit that goes only on the Patreon, and have fun that way. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But stay tuned, and Sleeping Dogs continue.
What will tomorrow bring?